Welcome to this week's episode of the World of Roofing podcast, hosted by John Kenny of Cotney's Attorneys and Consultants and Andrew Rowley of roofmapping.com, where we will introduce you to a new roofing industry craftsman from around the world.
Hello, everybody. Welcome again to another episode of World in Roofing. I want to thank everybody for listening. Before we start here today, our subscribership is way up, and we couldn't be even more pleased. Today, again, I'm John Kenny with Cotney Consulting Group, and I'm joined by my co-host, Andrew Rowley of roofmapping.com. If you haven't checked out roofmapping.com, you absolutely have to. There is a huge amount of beautiful roofs and craftsmanship on there. And we also recently started posting some historical stuff that dates back to a lot of roof systems. So, Andrew, wanted to say a little bit about roof mapping?
Yeah, of course. If you haven't visited, please do. It's just a platform. You know, it's free to view, to put information on, but it's a place for you to showcase your work, your products, and just to elevate the roofing industry. There's some great work that you guys are doing out there, and I just want to show everybody what's above their heads, because most people don't appreciate the roof until there's a problem. And we just want to change that. We want to show them all the great work that's being done by the skilled, operatives, craftspeople, whatever you want to call them, but they're doing some good work, and we want to promote that. As you say, today we've put on one of your historic ones from the Detroit Masonic Temple, back done in 1906, I think, or 1926. But yeah, if anyone's listening that have done refurbs on that, then let us know, because we'd love to build up a picture of various roofing projects and how they've been refurbed and what materials have been used, etc., over the years. Because some of these historic buildings are still standing and going strong now because of your hard work.
Yeah, that stays right in line with what we're doing here with World of Roofing. We're out here trying to get, promote the industry, and so we can get people that are new, thinking about the industry, or even in the industry, to see what's going on all around the world. So today, speaking of around the world, we have our special guest, Graeme Millar, here joining us from Scotland. And Graeme is the current president of the International Federation of Roofing Trade, IFD, and also has his own company and has a huge background and history in the roofing industry as well. So Graeme, welcome, and I'd like to kind of turn it over to you.
Thanks very much, John. Hi, everyone. My name is Graeme Millar, as John said. I've been a roofing contractor for 37 years now, and managing director of my own company for that amount of time. My role at the IFD, some people always ask, International Federation of the Roofing Trade, where does the D come in? Well, the D is for Dakin Works, because we are a German and English-speaking organisation. We translate everything into two languages, and the Dakin Works stands for roofing trade. DAC is roofing, and Works is trade. So that's where the International Federation of Dakin Works comes from, the International Federation of the Roofing Trade. And it began its life with Austrian, German, and Swiss influence, and then the Netherlands came in. And I joined the IFD as a fairly young guy, just the back end of the last century, as a pitched roofing representative for the National Federation of Roofing Contractors, who are the kind of British equivalent, I suppose, of the NRCA. And during that time, I sat on various committees, kind of like John Kerry, our presenter today as well, has done and is doing at the moment on the waterproofing. And thanks for that, John.
Sure,
on the
my pleasure.
Waterproofing Commission. So I began that way, and they must have saw something in me at some stage, because in Bucharest in 2014, at our annual Congress, I was voted onto the board of the IFD, and in 2019 had the great honour of being inducted as president of the IFD in my home city of Edinburgh, again at our annual Congress, which was held in Edinburgh Castle, a very historic site. Talking about history, that's whilst the IFD is 70 years old this year, my roofing background goes way back. My great-great-grandfather, William John Millar, He began our family roofing business in 1868 when he was awarded the contract at Fettes College. It was a very famous school in the centre of Edinburgh. And he was the master slater, roof slater on that particular project. And that's how our family business really began. It was passed down to my great-grandfather, John Millar, in about 1904, 1905. I have photographs of him in 1914. And they had over 1,000 employees at that time. So
Wow.
a very large business. Of course, that was towards the end of Victorian times in the UK and Britain. And it was very much part of the Industrial Revolution. So lots of houses being built and lots of roofs being put onto these buildings. And as Andrew said, the most important part, and I'm biased here, the most important part of any building is the thing that keeps the water out, and that's the roof. So the company was basically decimated employee-wise by the First War. And my grandfather, William John, who I knew relatively well towards the end of his life, he took on the business from my great-grandfather, John. And he had 3 sons, one of them being my father, Ian Millar, William John Millar, but nicknamed Ian. And then my brother was born and he took over the company from my father. So both my brother and I are 5th generation roofing contractors. So we go back a long way in this industry. Some of my competitors reckon that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth because I went into the family business at a fairly early age. But nothing could be further from the truth. Anybody that knows it's worked in a family business, and you'll know this, John, is you get all the hard work to do.
Exactly.
For sure. So that's kind of where I came from. I only have 15 employees these days. My company is a bit smaller than it was in the past, and that's on purpose because I'm starting to work down to the end of my working life. I'll be 64 relatively shortly, in just a few weeks. So I'm considering taking it a bit easier this year and maybe taking it a bit more easier the following year, and maybe getting out in the golf course or something like that. But the business will continue. We had 3 roofing businesses in Edinburgh, well, 2 in Edinburgh and 1 in Peebles. And my brother ran William Millar and Sons, which is the original family business. We also had a company that was instigated in 1810, so very old business. That was run by my uncle, Andrew. And he also, and the family also owned Bain and Irvine. And when it was time for me to run my own business, Bain and Irvine was the one that was chosen for me. And Bain and Irvine was a company that was instigated in 1946 by Willie Bain and George Irvine. And at that time, Willie Bain didn't last too long. I'm not sure what happened to him, but George Irvine continued. Him and my uncle Andrew were very, very good friends. And Andrew bought the business from him in 1974. And as I say, I came down to Peebles in 1987 to run this business after having had my training with my older brother at William Millar and Sons. So that kind of sums it up, John, I suppose. There's a lot more to be said, I suppose, but perhaps you could prompt me on a few things that I haven't mentioned.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you shared that rich history with us. I myself had no idea that you could trace the roots back through family all the way to the early 1800s like that. I knew it was a long time from some of the conversations we have, but that's fantastic. And I also didn't know 1,000 employees during the Victorian time. I couldn't even imagine the hustle and bustle that had to go on then too. I mean, it's not like today where you move around quick, well, except for traffic, quick and fast and easy. But I mean, everything then was handcrafted, handmade, hand hauled. Wow, that's amazing.
And mostly in these days, slating was our thing. There was over 200 slate quarries in Scotland in the mid-19th century, around 1850, producing millions and millions of slates. And of course, what happened was that the railways came in about the same time. So a lot of the exporting of our famous quarries in the northwest of Scotland ended up all over the UK. And there was very many UK quarries generally. There must have been over 400, I would think, quarries in the UK at that time, separate quarries, including the famous quarries in Wales and in Cumberland at Westmoreland and Cornwall, where they produced the delible slate. So yeah, a rich history in slating. Unfortunately, no more. We do not have any slate quarries in Scotland anymore. They became less than productive over the sort of back end of the 19th century into the 1920s, 1930s, when they started to close down. Where do you get your slate from now? Most of the slate coming into Scotland is from Spain, John. I do import some from the United States, Vermont, greens and reds. Mm-hmm. Occasionally, if a specific client is looking for something a little bit different, I would prefer to use UK quarries. I would prefer to use the Welsh quarries and certainly the Westmoreland quarries, where the quality of both these quarries are superlative. I mean, the quality of the slate coming out there is fantastic. But unfortunately, we're talking about £4, between £3.50 and £4 a slate. That's about $5 a slate. So it's becoming extremely expensive to slate a roof with homegrown natural products, I have to say. So we can buy in Spanish slate at, about $1.50, I would think, in your money, which is, and the quality is reasonable. So it's a no-brainer to put them on roofs. Sure. And, that's a big difference there. I know when I was in the Northeast and earlier in my career, there's 3 places we got our slate from, either out of Pennsylvania, which usually had the dark blacks and the gray, real hard lines, and New York had good quarries in it. And then, of course, we did a lot of the Vermont slate as well. So, yeah. I know the slate, Vermont slate's really known for its beautiful colors, for sure. There's a number of houses in not far from where I am that's got red slate on it. Almost looks like a tiled roof, in fact, if to the uninitiated. And it's not until you get closer up to it you realise it's a slate, and that'll be from the Vermont quarries or in that area. I would have thought that red colour. But there's a few of them about here. But Spain is the main importer. We just finished a job with an Argentinian slate from Rivers. It's called the Riverstone slate. It's nice, and it complies with all the stringent regulations that we have over here, of course. Tensile strength, absorption, sulfur content, the A1, T1, S1 gradients that you need to have. So the Argentinian slate is good. We've had some poor imports from China. I hope the Chinese Waterproofing Association, I'm not going to hear this one, but they're good friends of ours at IFD, but they can't produce any decent slate, unfortunately. So let's stick to flat stuff. Right, the big key to slate is the veins in the quarries. You either get a good vein or you got a bad vein. Absolutely. I've used a lot of I've used a lot of slate from Newfoundland as well, up in the islands there. Nice quality of slate, but they can only seem to quarry about 6 months a year, as opposed to we're quarrying 12 months a year here, sure, in Wales, for example. Because the weather, despite what they may say about Scottish and English and Welsh weather, the weather isn't too bad here in the winter time, being an island. Get the mildness from the water being around you. Absolutely. Coming from your Gulf Stream, John. Yeah, we like to always send the warm weather over from Florida for you. One other thing I definitely would like to cover, if you wouldn't mind, Graeme, going back to the IFD, one of the things we always like to do is promote, the youth coming up through. And I know the IFD has a lot of competitions and things coming up promoting the youth. You want to tell us a little bit about how that works? Yeah, well, the IFD has always been about training young people. But as an organisation that has 21 countries, 20 until we had to remove Russia recently, but 20 countries under our belt, we are very keen to promote training in all these countries. Most of these countries, well, not most, I would say half of these countries have very, very good training systems. The UK has a very good training system. There is nothing better than the German system of training. Austria, Switzerland, the Netherlands, fantastic training facilities for young kids coming through. The Eastern Europeans is where we're trying to concentrate on, because the Eastern Europeans struggle with in two ways: standards and quality. So that's something we do work on with Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, where we held the last World Championships for young roofers. Now that's a competition that takes place every second year. It's in 4 disciplines. We have flat roofing, which I see you guys doing a lot in training, you know, at the IRE exhibition, for example.
Yep.
We have pitched, which is my thing, slating and tiling. We have metal, and we have facade. These are the 4 separate disciplines. Facade is, you know, external cladding to buildings, and these are all on models. And the vast majority of the countries send to employees or to representatives to compete in the World Championships. And the World Championships go back to, I think, 1992 was the first one, and we'll be staging it every second year since, apart from 2021, which was going to be a highlight for us in going to Beijing to stage the World Championships over there. But unfortunately, due to COVID, that had to be cancelled. So what has happened is that the Swiss have taken it on. Sorry, it was 2020, it should have been in Beijing. So the Swiss have taken it on this year, and it will go to St. Gallen, which is on the east, on the German border there. And it's a wonderful tournament for young kids to get involved in. Unfortunately, you have to be a full member of the IFD to be able to send a competing team. This is a rule that goes way back, and the NRCA do not have, they're not full members, full voting members of our organization. And that's something I would really like to happen, because wouldn't it be fantastic if the NRCA could send over 2 or 3 teams to our World Championships. I think that would really get together with the fact that you've got a training issue in the United States. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Correct.
And I know you're doing a fantastic job in that, John, with you and Cotney Consulting, getting the message out there to young people and older people. It's not just the young people we should be training. It should be everybody. You know, everybody that can pick up a torch or pick up a slate hammer should have the opportunity to learn our industry. So yeah, I would like to think that the NRCA could send a team at some stage, and on the back of that, host a World Championship. We're going to Budapest in Hungary in 2024, but wouldn't it be fantastic if the NRCA could stage World Championships in 2026? That would be a nice dream to have, and I don't see any reason why it can't happen.
Well, that's something I'll do what I can on my end to work as a liaison to see if we can make that happen.
Well, I speak to Reid now and again, so I don't know if he'll be listening to this, but he knows my feelings on it. We need to get the young guys over to Europe and learn our ways of doing things and train to that standard, you know. Absolutely. And it's a great experience for them too, to see other parts of the world. It's not just about putting nails onto a board. It's about learning cultures and things like that.
No, I agree 100% there. That's what I enjoy so much, working with different organizations around the world. You know, we even talked on our calls when you know, on the different committee calls, that, you know, different languages and different cultures, but roofing kind of unites us all. I mean, it's that bond, you know, regardless where you live and roof, you do it. It's a common bond. You do it the same way. Techniques might be a little different, but it's still a roof's a roof.
Well, techniques aren't maybe as different as you think. I mean, I speak to the durable guys and the North slating contractors in the United States, and our methods are not all that different from theirs. We use the same products. We use slate, we use tile, and we put nails in them, and we fix them to roofs, and we use the same cover, and yeah, everything is much the same. But yeah, the NRC have been great supporters of the IFD, but I'd just like to see them perhaps just taking it up a notch and see if we can get some young kids over here to, particularly to Budapest, because that would be a chance to ramp up the training for them and give them a bit of Hungarian culture, which we all enjoy when we go over there.
Yeah, sounds like a very good idea and a good goal. Hopefully we can all get that together. Andrew, I want to kick it to you. Do you have any particular questions, specific questions you'd like to ask?
No, I was just thinking, when you were talking about the history of your family, do you know of any roofs that were done like by your great-great-grandparents that you're still maintaining now as a roofing company?
Yeah, Fettes College, the one that my great-great-grandfather slated under in 1868, we still look after some of the maintenance on that building.
Yeah,
the school has expanded significantly over the years, so yes, we do. And in fact, I'm working as a consultant on a fairly big project down there at the moment, or up there at the moment, and it's an 1880 cricket pavilion that was built by one of the former pupils of Fettes College, and it's a rosemary tile. It's a handmade clay tile that's going on it, so it's lovely.
Yeah. Well, if you'd like to send any details, I'm more than happy to get those on the roof and start building up, your family profile on there.
It's absolutely fine.
Some history behind them as well. That'd be great.
Yeah, we're proud of the family in respect of. It's not been without its ups and downs, and that was one of the reasons. My mum, good old mum, is gone now, but she didn't want me to go into the roofing industry because she'd basically had enough of it. And there I was, quite a talented golfer towards the end of my school days and doing well at school and getting my qualifications. Why would you want to go into the roofing industry? So I kind of did a couple of other things towards the end of my school days, and I looked at other potential workplaces, but nothing really struck a chord the same as the roofing industry did.
Once it's in your DNA, it never goes away.
Looks like it, John.
Well, very good. Graeme, is there any closing words you'd like to say before we close this one up for today?
Well, just thanks for inviting me, guys. It's always nice to speak to Andrew in Wolverhampton there, and yourself, John, in the heat of Florida. I'm missing. We had a home in Florida for about 12 years, and we sold it recently because we couldn't get out there. So I'm missing that. So I'm missing your heat at this time of year, because it's just about perfect in March, April time. It's not too hot, not too cold. So I'm missing that for sure. But I'm over in the States in a couple of weeks. So looking forward to coming over. We're going over to the US Masters golf tournament, my wife and I.
Oh, very nice.
So I'll be over there, and hoping to meet up with some of your roofing guys. If I see them in the street, I'll knock on the door.
Give them a shout out. Very good. Excellent.
But yeah, thanks. Listen, thanks for asking. It's been a pleasure as always.
Our pleasure to have you on. And great information. Love the sharing of your family history and taking the time to explain to us about the training and the events at IFD. Fantastic. Another world of roofing. So I'd like to thank everybody. And again, keep on listening. Find us out there on the web and the podcast world and all the good places. And Andrew's always posting off of the roof mapping with it. So you guys got a ton of ways to follow us. So keep on and keep our interesting guests going. Thanks again. Take care, everybody.
Cheers. Bye.